So you're thinking about moving to Kansas City. In this video, we are going to go over and discuss the cost of living of Kansas City versus some of the other areas in the country and a lot of places we have people coming in from. And if you stick around to the end, we are going to take you through some grocery stores. I'm going to look at some local prices at different stores and some gas prices so you can see exactly what you're going to be spending your money on and how far that's going to go. If this is your first time tuning into the channel, my name is Zach Morton. My business partner Max Jones and I have been helping people move to Kansas City for over 20 years, and we absolutely love it. But you don't have to take our word for it. You can check out our 600 plus Google reviews and see what our clients have to say. So whether you're moving in 3 days or 3 months, pick up the phone, give us a call, shoot us a text, drop us an email, even schedule a Zoom, so together we can discuss the best way to help ensure you have a smooth move to Kansas City. So like I mentioned, we're going to talk about cost of living today. And our first topic, I'm going to look down a couple times on the list, is housing. Obviously, we're both realtors. So let's talk about housing a little bit, shall we, Max?
Sounds great.
All right. So the first thing I think we should touch on is probably the median and average prices.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so the median price in the Kansas City area is $288,000. And how that compares to the extremes of the country, in New York, we're looking at $788,000, almost triple. And in California, $760,000. So you get the really extremes on the coasts. But the metropolitan areas that are a little closer in the Midwestern towns where a lot of people are moving from to Kansas City. So the Midwestern towns, they compare a little more closely to Kansas City, but are still a fair amount higher. Where in Denver, it's $562,000, and Dallas is $400,000, and Chicago gets a little closer at $329,000. But Kansas City is a very affordable place to live.
Yeah, those are incredible numbers, and that's why we've got so many people kind of come in this direction. Is the cost of living here, overall is just way cheaper than almost anywhere in the country.
Yeah, and I think we will see that those numbers reflected in all of the other costs of living and the taxes and the groceries and restaurants is very, very similar to the real estate numbers.
Yeah. So let's touch on that. Our next thing on the list here is taxes, income tax, and state tax. So we got taxes, income tax, and state tax. There's just a few things. Nobody likes that word tax, but I think it's important to know what you're getting into. Some states don't have income tax, some do, some don't have sales tax. So we'll tell you a little bit about what to expect here in Kansas City. So we do have income tax, both in Kansas and Missouri. You're going to be paying income tax. Now, however, if you are a veteran, if you watch our VA benefits video, there is some benefits in there that if you're a veteran, you don't have to pay state income tax. So check that out if you are in the VA. And you're going to have sales tax. Now, Kansas City as a whole has a base state tax rate. And then if you watch some of our other neighborhood videos, depending on if you live, let's say, in Overland Park, they're up to almost 9.1% sales tax. But Kansas City's base tax rate, I believe, is 6.5%. And then you'll have other counties on top of that, depending on where you end up in Kansas City, they're going to add to that to get you closer to probably 7.5%, 8%.
Yeah, for example, Jackson County, where the stadiums are located, has a little bit higher sales tax in that area to help subsidize our wonderful sports teams here in Kansas City.
Yeah, so it really kind of depends where you're going to be shopping and where you're going to looking at. We can help you dive into all of that when you get here. And if you watch some of our other neighborhood videos, you can kind of see where, it's not a huge difference, but sales tax is the thing. I know some of you might be coming from, like, Florida has no sales tax, Oregon has no sales tax, and it makes a big difference. But what I found, Max has spent some time living in New York. I've spent some time on the West Coast. I think it kind of all shakes out about the same, whether you have property tax or...
Yeah, they're going to get you one way or another. So, for example, in Texas, there's no state income tax, but the property taxes are a lot higher. So, as we were saying, for the taxes, your state income tax rate in Kansas City, while it does kind of balance out with other states that don't have state income tax, their property taxes are a little higher. In Kansas and Missouri, the top line, is income related. and depending on how much you make. But the top line state income tax rate is 5.4% in the state of Missouri and Kansas. So that gives you some idea. But also in the city limits of Kansas City, we have a Kansas City earnings tax, which is 1% of your gross. So that's something to take into consideration, whether if you're looking at Parkville or Overland Park or Liberty, some of these areas that are not within the Kansas City limits but are in the metropolitan suburbs of Kansas City. If you don't live or work in Kansas City, you can avoid that 1% earnings tax.
Yep, that's what's nice about having those suburbs nice and close by. You can still be close to the city but not be paying that. So a lot of people actually mention that to us when they're looking. They're like, hey, we want to move, but we want to make sure we land in a spot where we're not paying that e-tax. So something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and then as far as real estate taxes go, so some states are higher that don't have the state income tax. So in our area, in Kansas City, a good rule of thumb, I mean, you can, when you're shopping around, it's based on the assessed value, when you're, depending on your price ranges and you're shopping around. Some different areas that have really great schools that are really well funded might be a little more expensive, but a good rule of thumb is 1% of the value of the home will be your annual tax rate. So on $1 million home, you're looking at $10,000 a year roughly. On a $500,000 home, it'll be closer to $5,000 a year. Broken down over 12 months, typically, if people are using escrow accounts, that will be factored into your monthly house payment.
Yeah, and it is off assessed value. So oftentimes the assessed value and the appraised value, there's a little bit of a skew. They're always a couple years behind, it seems like. So oftentimes it's a little bit less, but I mean, it's all posted, it's all public record. So as you're searching for houses, you're going to know what the property tax are each one, and that's a good rule of thumb, like you said.
All right. Any other tax things we should mention?
Other tax stuff. Taxidermy. My son shot a 14-point buck.
Yeah, that'll cost you.
Taxidermy's expensive.
That will cost you.
I can't think of any other taxes.
All right.
So now that we've talked kind of about taxes a little bit and we touched on real estate and kind of median and average price points, let's just chat real quickly about kind of what that looks like at that average price point, what you're going to get. Because if you are coming from one of those states we mentioned that has the 7 or the 500 median price point, I'm not sure exactly what that gets you, but I do know people moving here tend to get a lot more house for their money. And in fact, if you're coming from one of those states where the median price point 7 or even 5, you may have enough equity in your house where you're coming here paying cash. We see that a lot, and when that happens, you get a house about the same size or bigger, and you don't have to worry about interest rates, which have been floating around a little bit lately. So
yeah, investors especially from California, we've seen a lot of this lately where they're coming to town, they're selling one door in California that they may have had as a rental property over the years, and they need to 1031 exchange that into another like-kind property quickly, and they're thrilled when they're able to turn one door into 4 sometimes. So they may sell $1 million home in California and be able to buy 4 $250,000 homes or doors.
Fourplex or a multifamily, yeah, so exactly.
Yeah, so sometimes you can even, if it's a multifamily, you might be able to turn one door into 10 because you might be able to buy those for $100,000 a door. So it just really depends on what your goals are. If you're going to occupy the property, usually you want something fairly similar to what you sold, but usually you're putting a bunch of money in your pocket. And as far as taxes go, if you're selling a home that you've occupied, then that gain is not subject to capital gains tax. So a lot of people ask us that when they're selling their house. If you've lived in it, then so far the government is not taxing us on that, which is, I think, the one thing that
it's up to $500,000 though, right, for a married couple?
Yeah, that's true.
So but that's profit. It's not purchase price. So it depends what you take out of your house from what you bought it. But we don't here, since our price points, is 288, or our average price point is 330, and when you fall in that price range, a lot of people aren't walking away with that much profit to where it becomes an issue.
So what would the house, 280 to 330,000 median to average price house look like in Kansas City?
Yeah, so what you'd be getting for that is something fairly new not brand new, but I'd say within the last 10 years, probably a 10-year-old house. You could get 3 to 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage, maybe a 3-car garage, and 2.5 baths. And then you'd probably have you could have a finished basement in there too. So it kind of depends neighborhoods, location, and all that. But for the most part, you can get a fairly decent house for that. Mm-hmm. And what are you talking, probably 2,500 square feet?
Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Usually, I'd say the average price per square foot is for resale is probably 120 to 130 a foot, depending on the condition, how updated it is, how old it is, that sort of thing. But yeah, that seems pretty reasonable to.
Yeah. So if you're coming out of one of those other states that we mentioned, you're probably like, holy cow, you're probably going to be able to replace that house for half the price of what you're in now, or even better. So, all right. So I think that kind of takes care of the resale and lets you know what you're going to get when you come in here. Now let's talk about rent a little bit, because I know some people are going to be coming here and they may want to rent before they buy, even though I think we've got a lot of information out there. We can help you shorten that timeline, but it's something worth looking at and kind of seeing what you could rent and how much that might cost. So I'm gonna look down here a little bit. We got about 5% of people in the metro area. This is for like a studio. It's gonna be around $800 a month.
Yeah, it is tough to find anything that is decent under $800 a month for rent.
Yeah. And then if you start moving up in there to a 2-bedroom, you're looking probably $800 to $1,200 a month. And then if you get up to a 3-bedroom, you're probably 12 to 16. Now these are apartments. There is a lot of housing for rent. I think the stats for the Kansas City area, it's mostly homeowners, but there is some rental properties out there too. And of course, apartments fall into that average, but it is dominated by home ownership. And then you've got 1,600 to 2,200 for the 4-bedrooms. And then above that, there is still lots of luxury apartments up here. The sky's the limit. There are houses that you can rent that are luxury also. So I know we have some rental properties, and our rent ranges tend to be anywhere from, I don't know, what's your...
We have a fair range where we have some stuff right at 800. We have a few at 1,200. I think our average is probably around 16, and then we do have a couple of properties that are in the mid 3s that are on lake water.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'd say the bulk of the rental property in Kansas City is going to be in that 12 to 1,600 range for your smaller 3-bedroom homes or 2-bedroom apartments. And that would probably be 35% of the rental properties on the market. And another 35 to 40% is going to be in that 1,600 to 2,000, 2,200 range. That's going to be 90% of everything you see out there, and very few under 800 and very few above 2,200. But really, you can find anything you're looking for. The inventory levels are very low right now, similar to resale homes. But we can help you if that's what you want to do. A lot of people will be moving from out of state and want to get to know the area a little better. That's what these videos are all about, is helping you get to know the area. But sometimes it's nice to visit, or to find a short-term rental to stay in. So that's something that we could help with potentially. Not only do we own rental property, but a lot of our clients are investors. So we have a big network of people that we can tap into, beyond just going to, sending you to the internet to do your own searching. Because the good ones will come on and go off the market really quickly, and then a lot of these rental listings never hit the market, so to speak. There's no listing service for rental property, so a lot of it is who you know, and we know everybody in Kansas City.
That's right. Yeah, we do have several property managers. As you're talking, I'm kind of going through my mental Rolodex here. that don't, their properties never hit. Like Zillow, a lot of people go to Zillow to look for rental properties, and a lot of their stuff never even hits that. So I know in some MLSs, like I think Texas, I think Florida, you can, the for sales and the for rents are on the same website, and that's not the case here in Kansas City. Yeah. So I know they tried it. I know I put one on there once upon a time, but it just didn't take off. So it's not a thing here. You're looking at Zillow and HotPad and stuff like that. And then other than that, you're looking for phone numbers for apartment complexes and trying to find stuff that way. So we can help you there too.
All right, let's talk about where we can go to eat, because I am getting hungry.
Yeah, it's getting about that time, isn't it?
So yeah, we're looking at restaurants in the Kansas City area, and the average plate, if you go out to eat, is $18 a head. You can certainly eat less expensively, but you go to a sit-down restaurant, really for under $100, I'd say $80, depending on if you're tossing back a few beers or drinking water. You could be right in that $80 a range for a family of four. And compared to, I just got back from Hawaii not long ago on a family vacation, and it didn't seem like we could get out of anywhere for under $250. So, at least $200. So really, 1/3 of the cost of some of the more expensive California, New York, Hawaii. If you look at the real estate costs, it correlates very closely to that, where we are probably half as expensive as a lot of places in the country in the real estate as well as restaurants.
Yep, I agree. We did pull some stats from niche.com, and we've got like an inexpensive meal at a restaurant. You're just going out for lunch or something in the afternoon, grabbing a wrap or a sandwich or something, that's coming in at $18. And then we've got a meal for two people, like a 3-course meal at a restaurant for two people, kind of a nice sit down. It's coming right in at $65, and I think that's right there. You throw a couple kids in there with some munchies, and you're at that $80. McDonald's, $9. Domestic beer at $5, and an import at $6. That's not too bad.
Yeah, I think you could probably go to when specials are going on.
Yeah,
you might be able
hit
to
happy hour.
Yeah, happy hour, you might be able to get under $5, but if you're drinking the good stuff, then $5-6 for sure.
Yeah, and then we've got Coke and Pepsi, $2.32 is the average. We've got a cappuccino coming in at $4.84. Wow.
Good gosh, I don't go to Starbucks, but that sounds like an expensive coffee to me.
It's expensive habit, yeah. And then water, they have it at $1.87. So. Yeah, I think every time I've gone on vacation, I'm in one of those expensive areas too. It's always nice to get back to our low prices.
Oh gosh, dude, my pack.
Did you just pull a pack?
All right. So when you're talking cost of living, one of the most important components of that equation is your income. And the median income in the Kansas City area is $55,000, which may be a little lower than some of these other areas around the country, New York, California. But what we've found is that it's relatively low in Kansas City, because while the income may be a little lower, it's not as big of a difference as it is compared to the costs.
Yeah, and that's what makes the cost of living here, when you take all that into the equation, so much cheaper. So
yeah,
you said it well.
Another thing about Kansas City, which isn't really super related to costs, but very interesting, is some of the demographics as far as the size of Kansas City. A lot of people might think of it as a small little town. Do we ride tractors to school and stuff? That is not the case. It's a metropolitan area. Kansas City itself, it has about 500,000 people on the Missouri side and 150,000 on the Kansas side, which sounds like a really small town. But the metropolitan area, Kansas and Missouri combined, all of the suburbs of Kansas City, how we think of it, is 2.2 million people. So it is a big metropolitan area that is spread over 8,000 square miles. So it is a very spread out city with a great highway system. And that is one thing we didn't mention yet is, being so spread out, one of the biggest costs that you're going to have is gas, because it is a driving city. So Zach is going to take you to the grocery store later and show you some of the grocery expenses. With the inflation lately, those costs have been going up, or not only here but around the country. But we'll also take you by a few of the pumps. Relative to other areas in the country, the gas is pretty reasonable here.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm sure New York was a lot of gas, like high gas prices. I know when I was on the West Coast, the gas was always $1.50 more a gallon, and here it's like, wow, this is kind of nice actually.
Yeah, Hawaii was double.
Yeah,
I think we were at like $3.19 here, and it was $6 in Hawaii. So that's probably the most expensive place in the world to buy gas.
Yeah, probably so.
But Kansas City is pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
So as you guys know, when you're making your house payment, that is not all you have to pay for when it comes to owning a house. Another big chunk of those expenses is your utilities.
Yeah, and so utilities that you're going to have here in the Kansas City area, for the most part, you are going to have a gas bill. Most of these homes are heated with natural gas. You'll find some subdivisions in some neighborhoods that are all electric, but for the most part, I think gas is probably faster and more efficient, so that's why we use that. It's actually fairly cheap out here. So you're going to have most likely you're going to have a natural gas bill, you're going to have an electric bill, you're going to have a trash bill, you're going to have a water bill, and you're going to have the internet bill.
Jeez,
and you might have some stormwater bill depending on which one of these neighborhoods you end up in. So yeah, all these bills do add up. For that average price point, what we found is you're going to be right around that 100, like on level pay. Here you can do level pay because our bills do fluctuate, right? We get cold winters, we have hot summers, so and then we have really decent springs and falls where you're not even hardly using your utilities. So they flip-flop. Your gas will be high in the winter, electric will be high in the summer. But they do a thing here called level pay. You may have it where you're at, where you can just go flat across the board. Your bills are always the same, so no matter what happens, you don't have to budget for that. And what we found is you're in that average price point, you're about $130 to $160 a month on gas and electric. They kind of equal out to about the same. Most people are heating their water with gas and heating their house with gas. So, and then electric will be the cooling and anything else you have that's electric, your car.
Was that the figure for the median price
Yeah,
range?
for the median price point. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, depending on the size of the house, of course, is going to change the price point. So, I mean, in a 5,000 square foot house, you might be at $500 a month, and in a 1,000 square foot house, you might be averaging around 150. But for the median,
yeah, for the median price point. And interesting fact here, it's I don't know if they call this a non-disclosure state or what, but utility bills are public. Not that you can just go see it, but you can call the utility company. Gas and electric are going to be your big expenses, and you can say, hey, what's the average utilities? And they will give you the annual average broken down by month. So you can make that call and find out for any house. But
yeah, because of course it'll matter on the efficiency of the home. If we have some neighborhoods here that were built 100 years old, they're going to be a lot less efficient than a home that is new construction with because the city changes the standards for the insulation that they require, the R factor, they set new requirements every year. So the newer homes are generally more efficient, and the cost of the home is going to be more, but the utility bills are going to be less.
Yeah, and that's something to touch on real quick too. I know certain states are doing these energy audits on homes, and you have to have it done before you sell it. We don't have to do that here yet, but we have a couple companies that we work with that can do that. And if you're usually the best place to put some money to get your bills down is to throw some insulation in the attic, and that's about the cheapest thing you can do for the biggest return. And just like you said, it just depends. We've got ages of homes all across the board, so.
Yep, it just goes right out the roof. Hot air rises. Windows are another big area where you'll see a lot of energy loss, but replacing all of the windows in the house is not an inexpensive way to go. So definitely start with insulation in the attic.
Yeah, and then I guess water and...
Yeah, water is going to be dependent on usage. So if you have 4 teenage girls that kids that live in your house, then your water bill is going to be a lot higher. Or if you have love a pristine yard, a lot of people really take pride in their yards in Kansas City. So if you've got a sprinkler system, then the water, or pool,
Yeah.
then the water bill is going to just really fluctuate based on your usage. But I think overall the water price per gallon is really reasonable in Kansas City. We live on the Missouri River, and I believe most of the water is pumped out of the river.
Yeah, I don't know how. We got some water treatment plants. I don't know how it works. It comes to my house in a little tube, and I turn the faucet on, and it works great. So.
Turn it on.
I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, it does not come out of a well,
No.
even though we're in a small country town. Yeah, we have a huge water treatment area, and the water just flows like
Like water flows. We have water towers, and it flows right to our house. And then internet. Let's talk about internet real quick. I think I have AT&T at my house, and it's $50 a month for high speed. They call it fiber, so I think somehow it's on the Google backbone. And then I have an Airbnb that's got Google Fiber. Some of the neighborhoods. Do you have Google Fiber here?
Yeah, that's one of the unique things about Kansas City is Google tested their Google Fiber network here in Kansas City. So a lot of houses are piped with Google Fiber, which I think is the fastest internet you can get.
Do you know what you pay for that?
I think it's I want to say $100 a month, but that
It could be. I'm at 70 and I have an Airbnb in Overland Park that's 70 for. I don't know. It's like the gig or 100 gigs, or I forget what I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can get some people get it for free, and it depends on what level of service. Like, I think it comes with some TV package on some addresses. So, but I think we pay for the highest, the fastest internet that Google offers, and I believe it's around $100 a month.
Okay. Yeah, and we got, like I said, Airbnb has one for 70, and it's enough to stream TVs and do all that stuff. And then AT&T has a service that we use at my house because I can't get Google there. That's $50 a month. So in that range, lots of options. Utilities, I know some. Just to touch on this real quick, not to beat a dead horse here, but utilities where you have lots of choices for utilities, and here that's really not the case. You've only got. It's kind of a monopoly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think in Texas, it's more of a
not a co-op, but you've got lots of options. You deregulate it, maybe. Not
deregulated, but privatized.
Privatized, yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of a government, like a state-run thing here, where it's Evergy for electricity, Spire for gas, and then the Kansas City Water. So it's more regulated, more government controlled, which I think has its good and its bad. Some people might think that privatized is that competitiveness is going to drive down prices, but there were some issues with that in Texas that I can remember where they lost power and pipes froze, and because the prices just went astronomical. So it seems pretty reasonable the way we've got it.
Yeah, it works pretty well. It's not a hassle. No matter where you're going, you know what number to call. So. Of course, you can get your Starbucks if you need that while you're here shopping away. One of the things I really like about this store, this is the one closest to my home that I tend to frequent until maybe after this video it'll change, but they have skylights all down the store, so there's a lot of natural light in here, nice and bright. And I've noticed over living in the Northwest that we've got a lot more space between the aisles, a lot more elbow room here. So that's something you may notice depending on where you're coming from. All right, so here we are in the beer and wine section, and just quick tip, in grocery stores here you can get everything you need, all your alcohol varieties. You don't have to go to a separate liquor store like you do in some other states. So I am standing right here where this is a nice local beer. Bud Light Budweiser is made in St. Louis, Missouri, which is just down the street from us. So we are at $12.98 for a 12-pack. Now let's go check out a price on an import beer. Here we go. Corona. Now let's do, what are you feeling like today? I don't feel like anything. How about some Corona? All right. A 12-pack of Corona bottles is coming in right at $15.48 for a 12-pack of Coronas. All right, here we are in the land of bread. We're going to start with the cheap Hy-Vee brand bread, which comes in right about, looks like the $2.59 is out, so maybe $2.79, let's say. Go down here to good old Sara Lee. We are at $4.29. And we can go on down here to the organic bread, which is coming in right around $5 for Dave's Killer Bread. Take that back. We are at $5.69 for organic bread. All right, we've got your basic Folgers coming in right around $5.99 for a can of that. But I'm more of a coffee snob, so I'm over here in the whole beans. We're looking like you can get your Starbucks for about $10 for $8.98 for 12 ounces. And then you've got some other local brands for, I don't know, ballparking the same price. Kansas City also has a lot of roasteries, so you've got some $13, looks like a little more. How many ounces is up? Still 12 ounces, $14. So, you know, sky's the limit. It's coffee. But good range for Folgers, $6 to $9. All right, now we're over here in the health food section at Hy-Vee. Got a lot of organic stuff. We're gonna go down the organic aisle to get some milk. That's what we got, milk and eggs. We are, for the full circle, $7.49. Yeah, $7.49 for a gallon. Never realized that you had to pay more for fat milk. We are at $4.69, $4.49, the cheap end of milk, all the way up to $5.49, $5. $5.77 for all your LaCroix varieties for a 12-pack. All right, we're at chicken. We've got $3.99 a pound for chicken breasts, all the way up to, as we go from smart chickens to organic chickens, up to $9.99 a pound for chicken breasts. All right, of course there's this crazy egg shortage going on right now, but we've got prices anywhere from $3.99 a dozen all the way to, trying to find the highest price here, $4.99. Those are non-organic. We'll go grab an organic one as well. Hy-Vee, it's the place you want to be. Just kidding. I'm not sure yet. Superchargers are right. Of course, they put them at the back of the parking lot, but right over there. All right, well, I'm giving you the 50-cent tour here. Hy-Vee also has their own gas station in the parking lot. And of course, there's a lot of grocery stores that do this. You get rewards if you use your little card and you swipe it. Last time I pumped gas, I think I got saved 60 cents a gallon just based on the groceries I was buying, and that's up to 20 gallons. So FYI, that's it. Right now, gas prices without any discount are, I don't even know if you can see that. We are at, for the cheap stuff, $3.19, $3.44 for mid-grade, and $3.79 for 91 octane. All right, now we are getting ready to pull into Sprouts, which is the local kind of organic-y Whole Foods store right across the street from Hy-Vee. Excited to see the difference in prices. This is kind of fun. I think I know what's going to happen. My prediction is Price Chopper is going to be the cheapest all around. All right, let's go see what we got. Excited. All right, there it is. Sprouts. All right, I just realized they have skylights here too at Sprouts, so I'm gonna laugh if there's also Price Chopper has skylights, and maybe I just. Anyway, here we are at the bread aisle. We've got Nature's Own, let's say for $4.19. And then we go up to the organic for $6.79, which is the same, the Dave's Killer Bread, and then $6.99 over here for the organic brown berry, but we'll just use this number for this purpose. All right, here we are in the LaCroix and coffee aisle. My wife would love this aisle. Two of her favorite things. We have LaCroix. Man, they don't have 12 packs. I'm gonna have to do math. We're looking at $4.49 for a variety of flavors for LaCroix for an 8-pack. All right, coffees. Looks like you can get in right at about $7.99 for 10 ounces of organic coffee. And then the sky's the limit from there. All right, we're here at the milk section at Sprouts. We've got $4.49 for regular milk. That goes up to $8.99 for the organic stuff. I guess if you're going low fat organic, you're at $6.39 for a gallon. That's pretty good. All right, chicken breasts. Look at that. No antibiotic chicken breasts for $5.99 a pound. We slide on down here to the organics, and we are looking at right at $8.49 a pound for organic chicken breast. All right, for eggs, we are all out, as you can see. They're anywhere from, well, it looks like they have $3.49 for a dozen eggs. All the way down to the dozen you can get $7.49. Those aren't organic. To get organic eggs, you get a couple more. It looks like an 18-pack, but it's $11.49 for 18 organic eggs. All right, down to the beers. We're back to the Bud Light again. $12.99. And then for the 12-pack of Corona, we're at $19.99. All right, well, that caught me off guard a little bit. I think when we get back and tabulate everything, that's not too far off. If anything, there might be some better prices in there versus Hy-Vee. Interesting. I do know if you spend like over $60 in there too, they give you like a $5 coupon or something, because I do go there for some things from time to time. All right, let's hit Price Chopper. All right, any predictions? What do you guys think? Do you think that's proper advertising or false advertising? We are about to find out. I'm excited. Price Chopper, here we come. Well, naturally, the first thing I notice is they have skylights here, so forget I said anything about that. Apparently, everybody has skylights. Nice produce section, though, huh? All right, 12 packs of Bud Light. I don't know if you can see that, $13.99. Let's see what the Rona's going for. All right, Corona. Ooh, that's Corona Extra. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, because we have Premier. All right. Corona sitting right at $15.99 for a 12-pack. Bread, we've got $3.49 all the way up to $4.29. And then for your organic bread, Dave's Killer Bread again is coming in at $6.99 organic. All right, we got Folgers at $5.69. Come down here to the good stuff. Just to keep apples and apples, we've got 12 ounces for $11.19. You ever wonder how they clean under the milk? There you go. Now you know. All right, let's do milk prices. All right, on milk, I'm gonna call it $4.89 to the Price Chopper brand of $5.19 for a gallon. Well, it looks like we only have half gallons of milk, and they're coming in right at $5.79. Organic milk, half gallon. All right, we are right at $5.79 for a 12-pack of LaCroix. $5.79. Chicken, we are at $6.79 a pound. And then over here for some smart chickens, smart guys, $8.99 a pound. found some more chickens that are $4.99 a pound. So we're gonna call that range $4.99 to $8.99. Well, even though they are also completely out of eggs, I'm gonna call it $3.99 on the low side. And then you've got organic eggs for $5.99. Well, I didn't really see any crazy savings in there either, so I think it's all gonna shake out in the wash, to be honest with you. Depends what you're after, I guess, but hopefully you found something useful in there. All right, we are rolling up on a Quicktrip right now. I think it's worth noting that Quicktrips, you'll see them all over the Kansas City area. They are one of the most consistently amazing gas stations. It's hard to say that about a gas station, but they do a really good job. They are fast. If you have to go in and get something, everything's clean. They've got a lot of pumps. They're always in great locations. And now they're starting to do food now too and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, Quicktrips are very nice. You will never go wrong there, but let's see how the gas prices are looking today. We are at $3.19 for unleaded, $3.79 for high octane, I guess, and $3.97 for diesel. All right, well, we're back from the grocery store, and I think that went pretty good. We hit 3 grocery stores, and then we also went and circled up 3 gas stations to kind of give you some gas prices as well. I think all the gas was pretty close for the most part, and the grocery stores, they were really pretty close too. There was a few things that you definitely, I think, you know, basically it all boils down to, we all probably assume that the Whole Foods or the Sprouts of the 3 grocery stores was going to be more expensive. Now, I will say that there are probably going to be some other cheaper options. We do have Walmart's here, and that is a place where you can get groceries as well as just about everything else, and that tends to be on the lower end of the price point. But I just wanted to go to a place where it was grocery stores. That's all they have is groceries, just so you can compare apples to apples. So that's what we did. And I think, like I said, Sprouts, definitely more money, no shock there. And then next on the list, you know, Price Chopper, I think did probably have save a few more pennies if you go that direction. But there were some things at Hy-Vee that were, you know, cheaper than, so I think I think between those 2 stores, it just kind of shakes out in the wash. Maybe at the end, you know, your basket might be a little cheaper at Price Chopper, but I don't know. If you have to drive an extra few miles to get there, I don't know that it's worth it. I'll probably still stick to my Hy-Vee, get my organic things that I want to get at Sprouts, and I'll just keep doing my thing that I've been doing. So I guess I've been doing it right. All right, but I definitely won't be buying beer at Sprouts, I can tell you that. That makes no sense at all. So anyway, the grocery store experience was fun. I hope that helped you guys. Gas station, I think those were all pretty close. We'll have those numbers up in the video so you can, as we drive around and hit those 3 different gas stations. And then I do want to touch, since we are talking about cost of living, real quick, I want to share my screen with you here and show you, this is the cost of living map of the greater Kansas City area. It has the metro area in there. The outline here in blue, I'm not going to draw all over this one because there's a lot going on, but that is the Kansas City, Missouri city limits. You also have Kansas City, Kansas over here. But in general, that gives you an idea of the Kansas City area. And we've got cost of living. So as you know, we're talking about the metro area when we talk about Kansas City for the most part, because it's hard to just say Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri. Everybody that lives here, that's what we consider. We consider it the metro area. And inside of that, you know, we've got like Liberty over here. We've got Leavenworth, we just did a vlog on. Overland Park right here that we've also done a vlog on, and we'll be filling in a lot of these areas so you can really get to know the areas and get to know more details about each spot. But this was a really interesting kind of a heat map of cost of living. This is just overall housing, shopping, jobs, grocery, you know, everything all bundled into one. And you can see, like right now where the grocery stores I hit today, you know, I'm right here on this little dot next to Weatherby Lake, and we were also in Parkville. So that's going to be kind of the, you know, the mid to higher price point areas. But for the most part, you know, you get a good idea of, and if you want more information on these or zoomed in at any point, you don't, just reach out to us and we can kind of hone in. It's not a drastic difference. I wouldn't say it's as drastic as this. Probably the, the cost of housing. Kansas City, Kansas tends to have lower priced housings in the Kansas City limits. But then when you get outside into all these suburbs is when it goes through the roof, and that's actually when they trump Kansas City, Missouri. So anyway, but that's a nice breakdown there, so you can kind of see how it's all laid out, and housing prices, cost of living, all that good stuff I think is spelled out really well right here. So again, thanks for watching. If you guys found these videos useful, give us a like, thumbs up there, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so you can continue to be the first to know the current market here in Kansas City. And I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next time.